What's up, guys? It's pretty rare for me to turn the camera this direction, but I've been doing a little personal experiment this week I want to tell you about. As most of you probably know, I like to eat, and I don't have much self-control when it comes to food. I just put whatever's in front of me in my face. Tuesday morning I was on YouTube and came across a video on ketosis, ketogenic diet, fasting, and whatnot. My cousin eats keto. I know Tim Ferriss is really into it. So I'd always thought it'd be a cool thing to try at some point if I could get the self-control. Long story short, it's now Saturday afternoon, my fourth full day of fasting, drinking only water, and then I had a couple pinches of salt on the days I sweat a lot. I feel freaking incredible. I'm totally blown away by how awesome this has been. Complete change of perspective. Yesterday I was walking through the streets of New York City, smelling all the amazing aromas. It was a little tough. But today's day 4, and it's the easiest day yet. If you don't know anything about it, when you stop consuming carbohydrates or straight up fast like I've been doing, your body goes into a fuel-burning mode called ketosis. I've basically had constant energy and clarity for like 4 days straight. I've been able to operate on less sleep. It's nuts. Down 5 pounds at this point, while maintaining total body weight strength. I just did some pull-ups to check where I was at. Most importantly, I feel like it's really changing my perspective on food and eating and what our bodies need. Our bodies are incredible. I just thought I'd be a lot hungrier. I thought it would be a lot harder. I thought there'd be something else, but it's just been smooth sailing, for me at least. Anyway, if this has been at all interesting to you, I highly recommend you do some research on fasting and ketosis and the ketogenic diet. I'm not doing this in any sort of scientific way. There's definitely better ways to go about this with supplements and whatever. I just stopped eating and drank water. But beyond the energy boosting and appetite suppressant effect and weight loss, there's a whole host of other medical benefits. Fasting or eating a ketogenic diet that will keep you in ketosis has anti-cancer properties, used for epilepsy, diabetes. Really cool. I have no idea if I will go back to my old diet after this or change anything, but I do know that I feel really good. It's been an eye-opening experience, so try it. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. Happy Saturday, and I'm off to go make some music. Peace. Hey friends, so I finally broke my fast yesterday. I've been fielding a lot of questions, so I'm going to give a summary of how it went and what I've learned. I could talk forever about this stuff, but I'll try to keep it to just the highlights. I do know certain things such as autophagy, which is basically the cleaning up of bad cells, the spiritual aspect, the immune boost, and the lack of hunger are unique to water fasts. But for a lot of the other effects, I can't say for sure which could have been achieved just through a vastly improved diet. I do know from personal experience it's way easier to reset your body's relationship with food through a fast than through diet modification, though. It was a very productive week. My body eventually started to conserve energy around day like 7 or so. So I wasn't overflowing with energy anymore, but I still had plenty of clarity. But earlier in the week, I was like hyper-focused, endless amounts of fuel and just drive and like singular focus. It was amazing. Urges of all kinds were eliminated, not just food, not just hunger. That includes the desire to like open Reddit when I'm in the middle of writing a work email. So that was helpful. My hunger was never too much of an issue. I did start to pine for food in the evenings toward the end of the fast. Though I think if I was busier those nights, I probably wouldn't have thought about it so much. Not sure. In general, though, my baseline was a total lack of hunger and lack of craving for food. Not just like hunger, but that need to eat right now that I usually have. And by probably day 4, it was like, meh, what's one more day without food? It kind of lost its grip over me. As a singer, it was nice to not wake up every morning and have all that phlegm and gunk going on. That was new. I will say that my voice is a little bit drier than usual. I'm assuming that has something to do with my depleted sodium levels. I'm not a scientist, I'm not really sure, but maybe like the sodium in your tissue retaining water or something like that. Or just because it's the fall, I'm not sure. But my voice wasn't as shiny as usual, but it was solid. I had no idea if I'd even go a day when I started. Really had no idea where this thing was going to go. And I just kept playing it by ear. It's not recommended to go more than 3 days without medical supervision. It's certainly not recommended if you don't have experience with this stuff. You're definitely not supposed to go right into an 8-day fast with no background or medical supervision. So, like, don't do what I did, whatever. But basically, I just listened to my body and stopped once I wasn't loving it anymore. I felt like my performance at the piano was starting to dip around a 7 or 8, though I still had plenty of strength and focus. And the euphoria from the first few days was replaced with sort of a deep calmness. I'm a pretty calm guy anyway, but just like really even-keeled. Yeah, I guess calmness is the best word. Basically, was just chugging along, feeling good, didn't have any hunger, was dropping weight super easy, like stupidly easy. You're supposed to be careful reintroducing foods in order of how easy they are to digest, because your digestive system goes dormant, basically. You stop producing the enzymes you need, your stomach lining isn't as strong. So I found this list online that I'm going through, just a few of the categories a day, starting with juiced fruits and vegetables until I get to meat and whatever else I want on day 4. So yesterday around noon I went to a juice bar and got, I had him make me one with kale and spinach mostly, a little bit of carrot for sweetness, and then coconut water as a base. And then I diluted that with water, so I did like half water, half of the juice. I did that every 2 hours. I was drinking that, and then I eventually just drank the straight juice. Then in the evening I had some fruit, which, by the way, tasted like candy. You have not tasted blueberries, so you've had them after 8 days without eating anything else. It was, oh my god. So now I get how people, usually I'm like, I go for the sweetest stuff, ice creams and whatever, and people say like, oh, that's too sweet, and I like never would say that. But now I guess if you like reset yourself, now that makes sense to me. I thought my hunger, once I started eating, was going to come back with a vengeance. I was surprised to find that really wasn't the case. It's been 24 hours, a little more than 24 hours, with just juice and fruit, and then finally, today I had some chicken broth. A few hours ago I had that, which tasted really good. But my hunger hasn't really come back in any sort of meaningful way. I didn't eat till like noon today. Haven't had any cravings or anything. So we'll see how that develops. My fantasies for bread and sugar and other bad foods like that are totally gone. And that's coming from a guy who is usually happy to eat like a whole entire baguette for a meal. I've literally done this on numerous occasions, especially in college. Great budget meal. Not really. So for me, that's a big thing. There's a lot of interesting literature out there about carbs and sugar and how they're the main engines for our overeating. Basically because they were only introduced in high quantities since the dawn of agriculture, and especially in the last couple centuries. I am looking forward to Sunday to eat the salmon that I bought, as well as the lentil soup I'll eat tomorrow. So I will say that I'm looking forward to food, even though I'm not like hardcore craving it. Not sure where my diet will be in a week, but I think this reset is going to help me be more intentional and not just like shovel whatever food is in my path down my gullet. We'll see. I broke the fast with fresh juice, and then in the evening an apple, a handful of blueberries. So I didn't eat much yesterday. So as of this morning, I dropped another pound, bringing the total to 14 pounds. I haven't eaten much today either, so it might be up to 15 now. I'm not sure. So that brings me to 165, which is the lightest I've been in, I don't know, maybe like 6 years or something, probably since high school or like freshman year, beginning of freshman year for sure. Definitely not the end. The last time I got close to this, I was at like 169 a couple years ago, and that was after I graduated college and had a ton of time to do whatever. I was running anywhere from like 5 to 14 miles a few times a week, biking 20 to 35 miles at a clip, lifting weights, playing soccer, surfing, and I was eating decently. So I was working pretty hard over the course of like probably like 6 or 7 months before I got to that point. I just dropped 14 pounds in 10 days with truly minimal effort. Like, I'm not joking about that. Like, it's way easier than dieting. Your hunger goes away, you get this momentum, and the weight just drops off. It's awesome. I imagine I think I can at least keep it at 165. I might lose a bit more since I don't think I'm going to have quite as much hunger as I was having, and I think I'll be a little bit better about my diet, at least this week. With supervision, I could have just kept fasting until I was like super sculpted. Probably could go another like 10 or 15 pounds or so, because I still got some fat left. But I think I'm doing pretty well for now. Over the course of this, I've learned so much about my body, what our bodies are adapted for, what effect different types of food have, and it really reinforced how critical our health is to our mental state and mental well-being. I mean, I was a very happy guy before I started, for sure, but the mental clarity, it felt almost superhuman. Honestly, you gotta try it for yourself. Most of it, I think, has to do with, one, the cleansing effect, the extra energy that your brain has to deal with stuff, because your body's sort of like, it preserves your muscles, it sends lots of good stuff to your brain to make sure that you can still like function like you need to get more food. And your body burns ketones instead of glucose when you're fasting. Your liver produces ketones, it converts your fat into a different fuel source. And your brain actually likes ketones more than it likes glucose. So really does wonders for your cognitive function, as well as a host of other things. I mean, the health benefits are pretty massive in a lot of different areas. I didn't actually have any... I mean, I had sluggishness. I didn't really have any health issues when I started. Just sort of did it on a whim. Drop some weight, whatever. I think the one big thing is that it would be insulin resistance. So when I would eat sugar, I certainly wouldn't get a rush anymore, and if anything, I would just crash, which I'm pretty sure is not how that's supposed to work. Probably some like pre-diabetic stuff going on. I don't know, but definitely not how I think your body's supposed to function. So that would be the biggest thing. So I'm hoping that this will help reset that. And considering how sweet the fruit that I was eating was, I think that's a good sign. That would reset that. It's also supposed to be really good for your immune system, and a whole host of other things. I won't get into that. You can check it out online. This is something that people have been using as a medical treatment and as a traditional practice for thousands of years across all different cultures and religions. And it's something that our bodies have been required to do by nature forever. Like, that's why we have fat, is so that you can burn it in times of need. Within the first couple days, I would say, it felt like my body had been waiting my entire life to do a water fast. It just felt so right. Before, like, I would have thought this was as crazy as anybody else. Whenever I tell people, they're like, "You're doing what? But how do you live? What about nutrition? And aren't you hungry?" And I would have thought all those same things, but once I started, I was like, "Oh, duh." And started, and once I did a lot more research on it, because I've been reading a lot about it as I've gone, it just makes so much sense and felt so right for my body. Toward the end, I was starting to feel like, I'm not really loving this anymore. Starting to feel a little bit off. Didn't have as much energy, so at that point I stopped. But for most of it, I felt absolutely incredible. It felt so natural and right and overdue. So I'm beyond glad that I just woke up one day, watched a video, and casually tried it out on a total whim. That was a good decision. I never would have guessed it would have been such an adventure and transformation. I'm hoping it's going to be a good launching point going forward. I did get some probiotics. That's the only thing major that I'm changing right now. I got some food, some healthy organic food and stuff to start me off, to get my body reacclimated, and got some probiotics to hopefully get my digestive tract and immune system and all that stuff working like it should. Since I'm doing all this stuff anyway and starting from a fresh slate, figure I would do that. Even if I do return to my former eating habits, it was an incredible cleanse of body and spirit, and I learned so much. Also, even if you do return to your old eating habits and don't eat well, occasional fasting has a lot of long-term benefits, anti-aging and anti-cancer and all that kind of good stuff. So it definitely was worth the effort. Also, I lost a bunch of weight, so I don't think I'm going to gain it right back. I'm going to try to not do that. So unless you're already at like 4% body fat or something ridiculously low, like super skinny, I'd highly recommend you test it out with like a 2 or 3 day water fast, or even just intermittent fasting where you only eat one meal at night. It's powerful stuff. Yeah. And then even if you don't want to try it, there's a wealth of information on the internet. So it's also just super interesting to read about in terms of like our biochemistry and evolution and all that stuff. So definitely check it out either way. It might inspire you to do it, might not. That's okay. But something to consider. So yeah, I think this has gone on long enough. Thanks for all the curiosity and all the questions. Let me know if you have any more. And happy Friday. See ya.